Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my Vegas Golden Knights franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. Heading into this episode, we had the question yet again of whether or not we look to add at the deadline. Season 1, we add at the deadline, we lose in the first round. Season 2, we don't add at the deadline, we lose in the first round. So there's no perfect formula to go off of here in the middle of Season 3. We are a month out, roughly, from the deadline, but really for the first time this season, we are at 100% health. The big thing, though, of course, knowing that guys like Thomas Tatar are on expiring deals, Nate Schmidt, and knowing that we're pretty much not going to be bringing them back, it was the question of, okay, if we are in a playoff spot, we know we're going to kind of go for it and deal with the consequences, as opposed to if we weren't in a playoff spot, it's easy to know who we sell off and build on from there, So that was the question. And of course, we looked around the team. There were some players. Of course, Granlund was still up there, even though he's now in San Jose. There are some options, but as far as whether or not we are going to look to add anybody, at the very least at the beginning of this episode, it's not looking like it. We're going to see how the next few weeks go leading up to the deadline, and then we might take it from there. So anybody that's underperforming on this team right now is going to need to step up. That said, we're in a pretty damn good spot. It's still going to be a close race, especially when it comes to seeding. I'll be intrigued as well to see if we can stay healthy moving forward. At the very least, knowing that we have someone like Paul Stastny as a depth option, it's going to be looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and sim the first 2 weeks, roughly 13 days to be exact. We have 5 games in that time frame, and we'll see how we can do. Hopefully we hit 30 wins by the end of these 5 games. I'd say that's the target, and there we go. Win number 1. We end up shutting out Anaheim 1-0. 30-win Coyotes, as we do get an offer. A second and a third along with Davidson for a second. Obviously not. I do need to fix up the trade block, and we'll do so in a moment. We'll do so now, because otherwise I'm going to keep getting spammed offers. When we're not looking for anything in particular, it's tough to say what we want to go for. Although, what if we just say that pretty much everything is surplus? If we say that everybody on the roster is surplus, right? Which actually isn't the right way to go. Because we don't want to include the top line. If we say any forward on an expiring deal is surplus. Thomas Tatar, for example. Paul Stastny, for example. If we say on defense that anybody with an expiring contract, Nate Schmidt, is surplus, what kind of offers would we get? And then, of course, goaltending-wise, we know Marc-Andre Fleury's here. He's not going anywhere. The goaltending situation is pretty much what it is, with the exception of saying that how about anybody under an 80? So basically, anyone aside from Fleury and Subban is also good to go. And then as far as the wants, now, of course, this isn't going to work out. A lot of teams are just going to be like, oh, Nate Schmidt for draft picks. But as far as the wants go, let's just say any forward. Expiring contract isn't exactly necessary. But we'll talk any forward over an 84-ish. Let's go over an 84. See what offers we get there. Defensively, we'll set this up to get an offer for probably another top 2 defenseman, or at least someone who's very close. So we'll say an 86 or higher. So basically, I don't want teams bugging me unless they're giving me a true game changer of a player back. That's it. And of course, goaltending, there's nothing we need to worry about. So we'll see how that goes. For the moment, that'll keep the majority of the teams off our back while still potentially getting some interesting offers. Can we beat the Bruins here? Trevor Daley goes down to a concussion. In Chicago, we'll just have the assistant coach replaced there. Julius Bergman on waivers from Ottawa. 25 at this point, and I'm gonna guess he's not all that great, considering he's playing in the AHL. Yeah, no, we're not gonna take him for the same reason that we didn't take Lozon earlier. We've lost 2 straight, unfortunately. Can we win these next 2 to hit 30 games? No, we cannot. So we started off well. We end up losing 3 straight. We beat Carolina 4-3 in overtime, so we're a little bit off the pace from where I was hoping we'd be. Deadline day is the 26th. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll sim another week. 3 games here. Edmonton, Philly, and Calgary. Let's see what we can do here. And again, hopefully 2 out of 3. That's the target. We end up beating Edmonton. 30 wins now on the season. Those 8 overtime losses are going to be extremely helpful, as well as we win all 3 games. Not bad. And Trevor Daley's back to 100%. We'll get him into the lineup down in the AHL. Who replaced him? It must have been Coughlin. So we'll get Trevor Daley back into the lineup. And just before, at this point, I can't imagine trade offer-wise I'm going to get anything interesting. We'll take a look at the team one more time. We are in first place in the Pacific right now. We're a point ahead of Arizona, and we have a game in hand. We have 2 games at hand on San Jose. So we're in a good spot, but you can see how tough this division is. Edmonton's not out of it. It's going to be very close down the final stretch here through the month of March. So looking at the team one more time. Artemi Panarin is doing phenomenally well. Phenomenally well? No. He's doing well. He's not doing phenomenally well, though. 45 points in 60 games. We know he's better than that. He's actually had a pretty disappointing season. William Karlsson, 50 points in 60 games, is a little bit better. And then Jonathan Marchessault, 41 points in 60 games. So the top line hasn't exactly been firing on all cylinders, and you could view that as the reason why we're not running away with this division. On the second line, though, Riley Smith, 44 points for a second liner. Tremendous. More than happy with that. He's doing great. The center on that line right now is Cody Glass, 33 points in 60 games. Considering he hasn't been on the second line all season, I'm happy with that as well. And then there's Evgeny Dadonov, who of course we signed. You can almost view him as our trade deadline acquisition, even though he was a free agent signing. 21 points in 33 games. Tremendous. So no complaints with anybody on that second line. Third line-wise, though, Thomas Tatar, 21 points. Now for a third liner, again, 30 to 40 points is the target. But that's for the average third liner. Thomas Tatar is not the average third liner. He's actually a second liner, and we know what he's capable of. Close to 50 points. So I'm pretty disappointed in him at this point. Eric Haula, 22 points as well. So again, it's a similar thing where, okay, for third liners you're doing all right, but we know you're better than the average third liner. And 20 points for Alex Tuck. So the top line's underperforming, the third line's underperforming, and then the fourth line's killing it. Like, that fourth line is great. And then, of course, again, we have Stastny as a healthy scratch. It's amazing he hasn't complained yet. But he's on 1 year left. So, as far as our options here, right? We could look to trade out Tatar, the Hallas, the Tucks, the Stashnys of the world. Go out, kind of rebuild the third line, even have the current fourth line be the third line and make different changes. But obviously, that would hurt our chances come playoff time. We don't have a ton of depth. Nick Suzuki could get the call-up. That's actually one interesting way to look at it, that we could run Nick Suzuki on the third line and then just look to find 2 other additions, but cash out value-wise. Let me go look at the trade value of guys like Tatar, like Haula, like Stastny, and we'll see if it's worth potentially doing anything here. I think at the very least, though, you can view it as, well, we have the talent to go, for a long playoff run here. Holy hell. Okay, that's also a deciding factor. Unfortunately, I can't sign Tate Dwyer right now. He just wouldn't join the NHL roster. For anybody who says, sometimes you take a little bit too much time in terms of drafting. Oh, do I? Because sometimes that little bit of extra patience pays off. Because we have a third-round pick who's 20 years old and an 83 overall waiting to join this roster next season. How I didn't notice that he was that good, I have no idea. Like, whether or not there was drastic development, I don't know. But holy shit. So now, that really changes the whole situation, because next year, Suzuki's ready to go, Dwyer's good to go, and again, I wish I could get Dwyer onto this roster, but if I sign him, I'm pretty sure because he spent the year down in the AHL, or he must have been a junior player. You know what, let me double check this. Holy hell. No, player development first. Player development first. This has completely changed our current situation. Because now we have even more options, especially if I'm allowed to sign Dwyer. So in the system, 23-point improvement. What the hell? Where is he playing right now? He's playing in the U.S. Oh, baby. 76 points in 44 games. Good Lord. Yeah. Can I sign Tate Dwyer, please? If we can bring him onto this roster, which again, I don't think we can. Here's the problem, right? Is if I sign him now, and I'm technically not allowed to bring him onto the roster, that wastes a year of his ELC, which granted is going to start next year anyway. If I sign Tate Dwyer, does he join the roster? I mean, right now it shows him on the Chicago Wolves when I look. How many unsigned players? Hold on a second. This is... And then Roach is up to a 76. So we do have some built-in reinforcements joining the team shortly. Oh my god. So yeah, Gregory Roach should be an NHLer next year, along with Suzuki and Dwyer. But again, if I can bring Tate Dwyer onto this team right now, we are golden. Look at that shooting category. Good Lord. Alright, well, Tate, right. Am I allowed to sign you? And I don't... Now, here's the thing. I'm 99% sure that, it shows that he's here. I'm 99% sure I'm not going to be allowed to call him up. But if I am, again, that completely changes the entire scenario. I'll screw him out of winning the Calder, but that's okay. Can I call up Tate Dwyer? Jesus Christ on a bike. Okay! Needless to say, we have other options, as Tate Dwyer has joined this team, an 83 overall medium elite, a third-round pick. What the hell are we going to do now, knowing that we have these options? Because he is the most valuable player on this team. He has slightly better value than Yossi. He was a third-round pick, man. And of course, guys like Norton and Kane will be coming up for the system. Man, we're looking good. Nold, for the record's up to a 57, so I know there was some controversy over, hey, let him see if he'll develop. I mean, it's not looking too good. But he's not who we're worried about right now. Goaltending-wise, again, we're set. We honestly have one guy too many signed. We could just look to ship out Oscar Dansk, get something for him, and be good to go. We'll have Daniel Vladar as the backup. So again, it'll be Fleury, Subban, Vladar, Ingram, and Ferguson. I'm not wanting to necessarily ditch Ferguson. I know he's not going to develop, but we could potentially ditch somebody in terms of goaltending just to free up another spot. Defensively, of course, when we look now, if I could flip Nate Schmidt for another true top two defenseman, which then again, I don't even know if I want to. What the hell are we... Like, here's the thing. We have to move a forward now. Like, where the hell am I even going to play Dwyer? So I accidentally hit the wrong button. Like, I have no idea where the hell we're even going to look to play Dwyer after signing Dadonov. Riley Smith can't play center. Can he? No. Dadonov can't play center. Carlson can, obviously. Marchessault, not so much. And then Dwyer didn't have a good face-off rating. So we're talking about still running Cody Glass as the 2C, unless we go with Stastny. Now you look here, Tatar and Stastny don't have a ton of value. Hollis still has 1 year left on this deal. If we could move Tatar and Stastny and bring in a 2C, I think we'll be good to go. Run Cody Glass on the third line, probably with guys like Riley Smith and Alex Tuck. And that brings up the question of what the hell do we do with Holla? This is such a game changer that Dwyer has developed the way he has. So again, top line right now, still Panarin, Marchessault, Carlson in theory. Second line would be Dwyer, Dadonov, and Glass for the moment. So third line would be Smith, Tuck, Holla. And then Tatar, Stastny could go. And again, I want to keep Alex Tuck. 3 years left. I know point-wise it's not looking that great. Stastny and Tatar, they were both on expiring deals. If we don't do it this way, and then again, like Nick Suzuki is going to be the 3C next year. I mean, hell, you could argue we could play him at 3C now. He might not even be that bad. But Cody Glass would be better suited in that role, I think, for this season. What the hell are we going to do? Panarin, Marchessault, Carlson, Dadonov, Dwyer, Glass, Smith, Suzuki, Tuck, and then have Haula as the depth option? Granted, Haula has the 1 year left. Either that, or we don't call up Suzuki, we get a different center, and then Peary's the depth option again, right? So yeah, it would be top pairing there. Dadonov, Dwyer, Glass, Smith, Tuck, Haula. And then, yeah, Brandon Peary would be the depth option. So I think if we hold off on calling up Suzuki for the rest of the season and look to bring in a 2C, actually, even then, no. We'd have to get rid of Haula, too, if we wanted to bring in a better second-line center. Moving Tatar and Stastny would be for the sake of just freeing up spots right now. If we move Haula, we can either bring in a 2C or just call up Suzuki and get back whatever the hell we can. But I think Tatar and Stastny at the very least have to go. And Haula might as well. So let's take one last look again. I only want teams that are interested in these players as well. So let's take a look at the Bruins and the Sabres. Those are the first two. The Bruins aren't moving anybody we're interested in. Buffalo, same story. Can we find other teams that are interested in both players? Colorado, yes, but you don't have the cap space. I need that perfect storm. Florida could work. Depending on who they're getting rid of, that's not going to work. Who else here? Is there a perfect storm to make this work? New York, depending? No. See, this is unfortunate as well. We might not be able to find that perfect team. Philly. Shushko, LeBears, Jennings. That's not really going to work out, is it? Pittsburgh somehow isn't that bad in terms of cap space, but it's definitely not going to work. Tampa, there's no way. They have 35 contracts. That's just how bad of a cap situation they're in right now. Washington. Okay, so we're not going to be able to get the extra value out of it. So right now, really, it's mainly worrying about a team that can afford both and getting back a player that would be helpful for us. So Carolina, are you shopping any interesting players? Yes, you are. You very much are. Holy hell. Dougie Hamilton, Teuvo Teravainen, Justin Falk, Nick Backstrom. I mean, Justin Falk would be a great get, and again, he's on a very strong contract. Dougie Hamilton there as well. Backstrom, I mean, that's just way too expensive. But I can see a world where we could potentially get Dougie Hamilton here. And then you want to talk about a 1-2 punch. He's not exactly a top 2. But I could see a world where we get Dougie Hamilton to get essentially an upgrade on Nate Schmidt. So if we use Nate Schmidt here, who we know money-wise isn't really going to be worth it, we use Nate Schmidt, along with Tatar and Stastny, free up a buttload of cap space. We get back Dougie Hamilton, who would actually be worth the cap hit as compared to Schmidt of $5 to $6 million a season. That could work. Falk would be great as well, but that would be nice. Again, Backstrom's a bit too far out of reach. I think we'd still want to keep our first-round pick this year. And again, I mean, Backstrom's 33. I know I could have chucked elsewhere. 1 year left on that deal. That's not exactly a guarantee. But the thought of maybe picking up Dougie Hamilton here. Like I said, he's an upgrade on Schmidt. If we keep Hamilton, he's more worth the money. We move Tatar and Stastny to make room for Dwyer and potentially Suzuki. That's not a bad way to go. Look at the amount of cap that we would be sending out to Carolina, and they can afford it. Just the one thing that I'm wondering now is just money-wise, what makes sense. Jordan Stahl still has 3 years left on that deal. Yikes. So let's see, draft pick-wise, what are you looking to move? A third-round pick next year, a fourth-round pick next year, and a fifth this year. I just want to safety net this. Like, if this... I have a feeling that might honestly go through. If we use 2 fifths, again, just to be precautious here as we test this out, or to take precaution. Stastny, Tatar, and Schmidt. For Hamilton, a third, fourth, and 2 fifths. Again, we'd move Stastny and Tatar for the sake of bringing in Dwyer and potentially Suzuki. And we move Nate Schmidt because we wouldn't have a spot for Hamilton to begin with. Hamilton is an upgrade on Schmidt and is more, I'd say, worth the money than Nate Schmidt would be. Because we know, of course, Schmidt's been looking for a ton of salary in the last 2 negotiations. Will that go through? Rejected. We're not particularly interested, huh? What about if we move or remove a fifth? Of course, the problem is they don't want any of these players. But I'm still willing to test this out. I'm willing to give up more if I need to. What about their interest in a fourth? Quite close to fair value. Okay. We could make this work. Dougie Hamilton in a fifth this year for Stastny, who again is, 35 years old? He is, and is on an expiring deal. Thomas Tatar, who's 30, is on an expiring deal and is underperforming this season. And then again, Nate Schmidt for Dougie Hamilton. We free up all the cap space in the world, and more importantly, free up a roster spot for players that we need to. Will that go through? They don't want to take the Stastny contract. Value-wise, it's fine. They just don't want to take the Stastny deal. Well, lucky for me, I can retain salary because it's a 1-year deal. So that's not a problem. This will all come off the books. We can afford this, and we're not really looking to bring back anybody else either. So if I retain on the Stastny deal, I should have a bit more value now to add in some draft picks again. Because I can't imagine beyond next year that they're looking to move any of those picks. They're not. So, what do you say, Carolina? Rejected. Still not interested. Okay, what about now? What about now? How about today? What's the problem with the contract now? Like, you gotta be kidding me that you're not willing to take on Stastny for half the season. Okay, you are. It was just the 3rd-round pick. That was the problem. So, can we establish that the 3rd-round pick was the issue? It is. Okay. So, what if we go 4th and 2 fifths over the next 2 seasons? Rejected. What if we take out a 5th? What if we take out another 5th? You gotta be kidding me. They are so stingy, but it's okay. Stastny on half retained. Tatar and Schmidt for Dougie Hamilton in a 5th. I think I'm good with this. Are they? Yes, they are. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we just freed up a shitload of money. Dougie Hamilton is a Vegas Golden Knight. Of course, some people are going to be upset about that, but that's okay. So now we have Yossi, Hamilton, Theodore, McNabb, Miller, Wu with Dotchin as the depth option. Now, hopefully this doesn't shake up the team too much. Now, again, coming up as well, Haig and Bronstrom are going to be pushing for NHL spots soon, hopefully. Not to mention some of the other guys that we're going to be looking to sign. And then forward-wise, Panarin, Marchessault, Carlson, Dadonov, Smith, Tuck, Howla, Eakin-Class, Carpenter, Carrier, and at the very least, Tate Dwyer. You want to talk about considering Dadonov a trade deadline acquisition? Tate Dwyer is a deadline acquisition. So that's our 12 right there. So if we were to go into the lineup really quickly, does it make sense to call up Nick Suzuki? So if we go best lines, we'd probably have... Ideally, we could drop Dwyer, I'd say. Again, otherwise we run Marchessault at center, which I'm not against. 70 faceoffs. We know we want to keep that 4th line together. So if we were to keep Dwyer here, if we were to keep Dwyer on the 3rd line, the team would still be looking pretty damn good, of course, not to mention the fact that, hey, Dougie Hamilton freed up cap space, hooray, hooray. It's just, if we wanted to move Halla, or whether or not, the big question is it okay to run Tate Dwyer on the 3rd line? How much will that stunt his development? But you look at that shooting category, he could step into the top 6 immediately. Like, there's no doubt. Dadonov was signed for the rest of the season. Attribute-wise, he's still looking good. And then again, Riley Smith has performed marvelously this season. Both he and Dadonov deserve a second-line spot. The only way all 6 of these guys stay in the top 6 is if we drop Marchessault, which we could. Again, Dadonov, Smith, they can't play center. But say we bump up Dadonov and just run, Dadonov, Carlson, Panarin, Smith, Marchessault, Dwyer. And then third line would be Haula, Glass, and Tuck. It's not bad. The big question now is whether or not we keep Erik Haula, who does have a little bit of time left. He'll have another year on his contract. But we could look to move him as well. We could look to move him. My thing is this. A true top 6 center would be nice, but Cody Glass is hopefully going to continue to develop and turn into that, so getting a rental is a little bit concerning with the price of rentals. And even a Granlund isn't exactly a rental at this point. He had, 4 years left on that deal? So unless we wanted to play Cody Glass on the wing in the future, which we don't, look at the wings we already have, that's not going to work. But we could look to keep that together and really just drop Dadonov. That wouldn't be the worst idea in the world because we'd want to put more emphasis on Dwyer. We could drop Riley Smith. Problem with that, though, he has that extra year on his contract. He's living up to it. Dadonov might be the rental that we've already discussed. And, of course, we didn't have to give up anything for him. That team right there moving forward is still tremendous. It is. And then, again, you factor in we made an improvement on defense. Got rid of some guys who wouldn't have been happy being healthy scratches. I think we're okay. I don't think we have to rush Nick Suzuki this season. But he's going to be called up next year, which means we probably won't bring back Dadonov. I think we'll let him go to free agency. And then the third line next year will be shaping up to be Haula, Suzuki, Tuck. And then, of course, the continued improvement of Glass and Dwyer. We're looking good. We're looking good. I just think, we could move Haula now, but I think the better idea is to just keep Dadonov instead of immediately flipping him, let him go at the end of the year, then call up Suzuki for next season. So I'm feeling pretty damn good about this roster right now. A pretty crazy trade that certainly wasn't expected, but with a player developing to that level and that quickly, it was necessary. So we'll call up Brandon Peary. We'll have him as the healthy scratch. I'm going to have to fix this lineup in a moment, more than likely. The team's looking good. The team is looking good. And again, defensively, we have Josi Theodore, Hamilton, McNabb, Wu, and Miller, which, to be honest, some of you are going to be pissed that I'm doing this, but I honestly think it's a little bit better. Josi Hamilton, because holy shit. Theodore Miller, because holy shit. And then McNabb with Jet Wu. And I think it's better to have Braden McNabb on the third pairing anyway. It's a solid defense. And goaltending-wise, again, can Marc-Andre Fleury continue to perform now at 36 years old? Will he collapse in the playoffs? We have depth options. They might not be the best, but they're okay. And we have that cap space to work with heading into the future. Not even necessarily to spend in free agency, just in the future now when players have their contracts come up. We're going to have the ability to re-sign them. I think this worked out tremendously well for us. And again, I might take a little bit too much time on the draft sometimes. It just goes to show that it can pay off, though. And it did in this instance, as we'll take Wyatt Wiley, of course. We will set up this roster. Do we not have an extra righty? We don't. That's okay. Because, again, we're going to run Bronstrom and Haig. And the AHL team is looking okay. So, overall, very happy with the state of both rosters. The Chicago Wolves not exactly shaping up to be a great team this year, but I think deadline-wise, we just made one hell of a move. Now it's just whether or not I trust Erik Haula as the 3C, but if you talk about having Evgeny Dadonov with him, that should be one hell of a 1-2 punch. So I think we're good to go heading into this next season and heading into the postseason as well this year. Not even looking towards next year, just factoring in this season. Tate Dwyer makes his debut against the dominant Leafs, and okay, it's a minor concussion for Alex Tuch. He's going to be out until deadline day. Did we end up beating Toronto? We did not. It's a 5-2 loss, but you saw the Leafs record. They are absolutely dominant right now. My main concern, as we lose back-to-back games, my main concern is whether or not with the morale system on, we made too many changes, and that might end up upsetting some players, and, it could mess with things, but we'll see how it goes. McNabb, I'm sorry that you like Nate Schmidt, but guess what? He was going anyway. Dougie Hamilton, let's talk about museums. And then Cody Glass is fine. Team meeting, bam. Malcolm Subban, the only one upset about it. Cool. Can we beat the New York Rangers? 40-win Rangers. Man, this has been a tough run of games. Pro Scouts, fine. Alex Tuch is going to be back, and we probably lost, is my guess. Yes, we did. So 3 straight losses. I'm going to decline that trade with the Islanders, and again, I think we're good to go. So unfortunately, we're on a bit of a down stretch right now. Whether or not, you think about trading Stastny, not that big of a deal. Schmidt, not that big of a deal. Thomas Tatar, who knows. So not our best run of games. Tate Dwyer has 1 point in 3 games. And admittedly, I think I'm going to drop him down to the third line. I don't think that will affect his development all that much. We'll have him on the third line. He'll ease his way in with Haula and Tuch. And from that perspective, I think we're pretty much good to go. We'll give Tate a little bit of time. And the point is, he's on the NHL roster, which is phenomenal for us. So before we sim to the end of the season, let's take a look around the league in terms of trades. As Edmonton gets, that's probably Kyle Clifford, so mainly a pick trade there. Edmonton gets a first and Adam Ginning for Nugent Hopkins, DSP, and a 4th from Philly. Josh Manson finally gets traded. He goes to Montreal for a first. Nate Schmidt was then flipped to Winnipeg, along with Michael Kempney and 2 others for a first, a second, and Spacek. So Nate Schmidt immediately flipped to Winnipeg. Damn. So there goes my goal of not trading him to the West. I got Pierre Dorian, although not quite. They got a good return, though. It makes me wonder what the other 2 pieces were. They had to have been half-decent draft picks. I'm personally fine with what we got. Wallet to the Islanders. Chicago trades Saad to Columbus. Tremendous. Chris Russell to Toronto. The memes have come true. Dupre in a second for Commodore, a 3rd and a 5th. And then, of course, our big trade, Stastny, Tatar, and Schmidt to Carolina for Hamilton on the 5th. Andre Schuster goes to Vancouver. Charlie Coyle and Austin Watson to New Jersey. And Larson, Ratty, and Schlemko. Jesus Christ, Toronto just stocking up on defensemen. I don't blame them, though. They are the best team in the league up to this point. We have fallen back into 3rd place in the division. But, of course, we know we're still in a pretty good spot moving forward. So with that, we're set. We're good to go. There might be another move or 2 that's made, but I doubt it. Normally not. Let's do this. Let's continue onward. We have 1 game left this month. It's against St. Louis. Hopefully we can snap this losing streak, and we do. It's a 5-3 victory. Into the month of March we go, and this is going to decide everything. Playoff seeding, hopefully we make it. There is a world where we might not. We'll go 2 weeks at a time. We have 7 games in that stretch. We start off the month with back-to-back wins, make it 3 in a row, and then 4 in a row in total. That is a damn fine start, as Cody Glass is going to be out for the majority of the month with a fractured jaw. Now that raises the question of whether or not we look to call up Suzuki, which I don't think we will. We're just going to go best lines. It's a pretty big loss, though. I did not want Cody Eakin as my second-line center, but in fairness, we're still winning games, so maybe that should be the case. I wanted to go best lines and make further changes. We are in first place in the division, so right now things are really looking up for us. I love how if we go best lines, it drops Eric Holla to the 4th line and Carpenter to the 3rd line. Again, Ryan Carpenter has been a revelation on this team. We're going to go with Holla as the second-line center. Peary has a 79 face-off rating. We'll have him be the 3rd-line center. Yeah, he's a better center than Carrier. So we will go with Dwyer, Eakin, Tuch, Smith, Holla, and Dadonov. And then defensively, I still want to make that change. There we go. Sweet. So that'll be the team moving forward. You watch now. We'll immediately lose games, even though I'm more comfortable with that lineup. We'll see how this goes. Who's up next? It's Pittsburgh and Colorado back-to-back. 5 straight wins to begin the month. A 6-game winning streak in total will probably come to an end here, or not. But Riley Smith goes down to injury. Right. This is not what we were hoping for. Now, the good thing is we do have a decent amount of depth still, thanks to Nick Suzuki. We can call him up. He's not going to be affected by waivers, so that's fine. Suzuki, welcome to the NHL. In real life, actually, today he was sent down by Montreal. So congrats, Habs fans. They're not dumb enough to try and rush him. So really, we are looking at Carrier, Peary, Carpenter. Do we put Suzuki in that role? I don't know if we do, actually. Dadonov, Suzuki, Dwyer? Fuck it, let's have fun. And then Hala, Eakin, Tuck as the third line. It's still not terrible. And now, of course, Dwyer has the option to be in an even bigger role. And then down in the AHL, of course, the one thing here is just forward-wise, it's going to be a bit of a mess. That team's not looking like they're going to make the playoffs anyway. I'm going to have to, I got to go best lines. And we'll fix that. Defensively, it's not going to be exactly what I want, but we'll fix that later. We beat Colorado as well, so an undefeated start. 7 straight wins to the month of March, 8 straight in total. If you look back to that game against the Blues, we've caught fire at a good time, even if the injury bug's biting. We'll sim another week, so we only have 3 games this time out. The Islanders, Leafs again, and the Arizona Coyotes. We end up beating the Islanders. We get an upgrade or an update on Central Scouting. We'll handle that in a moment. 51-win Leafs. They smoke us. They're so good. So that is our first loss of the month. Toronto is just steamrolling everybody, as we have a couple of players who are going to be back from injury here. So unfortunately, you know what? Nick Suzuki's going to stay in for the moment. Maybe. I don't want to play Glass and Smith yet. This is going to be where we send down Oscar Dansk, because I don't want to play those two unless they're 100% healthy. We end up beating Arizona. I need to know for sure that the 2 players are at 100%. We can't afford putting them back into the lineup. We have a pretty solid lead, by the way, now. Standings-wise, 8 games left. We're on 92 points. It's looking very good for us here in our 3rd season. Of course, we won the division last year. Glass and Smith are not 100%. They're not healthy. We'll go ahead and sim this game against the 33-win Canucks. Riley Smith is back to 100%. As we end up getting the shootout win there, let's sim another day up to this game against Nashville. And I don't believe Cody Glass has the go-ahead to suit up for this game. He does not. So Smith will, here's what we'll do. We'll go best lines. And we will take out Cody Glass for probably Suzuki. Yeah. So we'll just put Nick Suzuki in for Glass. It'll be Smith, Suzuki, Dadonov, Dwyer, Eakin, Tuck. Actually, no, we'll reunite Eakin on the 4th line. Dwyer, Hala, Tuck. So that's the one difference at the moment. And then defensively, we'll make these normal go-to changes, and we should be good to go. So we're just waiting for Cody Glass to get back to 100%. We have this game against Nashville. They're struggling this year. We beat them 4-3. The game coming up against Calgary. Still no word about Glass. We'll double check. I can't believe the development of Tate Dwyer. That is insane. Glass is still not 100%, so he'll sit out of this game as well. Hopefully he'll be back for these weekend games coming up, or at least one weekend game. It's a Sunday-Monday stretch. We end up playing Calgary, 29 wins. They're 6-2-2 in the last 10, and we get a 6-4 victory. A game coming up on Sunday against Anaheim, and Glass is back. Standings-wise, we have clinched the division, not just a playoff spot. For the 2nd year in a row, we have clinched the Pacific. We're on 98 points, thanks to being 9-1 in our last 10 games. That is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Another successful year for us. The question now, of course, is whether or not we can get over the hump and actually make it out of the first round. That's really up to Marc-Andre Fleury, I would say. I'm not putting the pressure all on him, but, you know, he's definitely one that we're worried about. So Nick Suzuki, I hate to tell you, you're going back down. I know you're upset. Don't worry, one more season. Next year, next September, you're here, no matter what. As we'll go best lines, and that is almost perfect. Eric Holla will go there. Defensively, of course, I want to make these changes. Beautiful. So again, healthy scratches, Dotchin and Peary. And then down in the AHL, we go best lines. Suzuki's back. Defensively, Wyatt Wiley is actually in by default now over Coughlin, which is tremendous. And then goaltending-wise, Danska's in over Vladar. That's fine by me. We'll just try to make the team a little bit more competitive. Admittedly, I haven't looked at the Chicago Wolves record for a little bit. We've been a tad bit distracted with the rest of the team, but I imagine we're in a pretty good spot, or a pretty bad spot, and we are. We're probably not going to make the playoffs. So we have 5 games left this season. Let's get to April 1st. We play Anaheim. That's a 6-1 win. We play Vancouver. That's a 4-3 win. And Calgary, it's a 5-3 win. I don't think we'll hit 50 games personally, or 50 wins personally. We're going to have to win the next 2 games. But regardless, it's been one hell of a season for the Vegas Golden Knights to overcome a slow start, injuries throughout the year. We end up finishing the season at 49, 24, and 9. We have won the division title for the second straight year, and things are looking very good for us, not just now, but of course in the future as well, although we will still have to answer the same question as to whether or not we'll be able to get out of the first round, as we have to sim at least one more day for every team to get up to 82 games played. There we go. So that is the unofficial final day of the season. Let's take a look at our team around the league as well, and we'll figure out what this whole setup is here. But like I said, to overcome a slow start, I feel really good about what we did this season. Not to mention, we did not just clinch the division title, we clinched the conference for the second straight year. The West's best, the Vegas Golden Knights, 107 points. Again, slow start, we turn it into a conference championship, well, hopefully. We won the conference. Playoff-wise, we'll see what happens, but absolutely tremendous. 49, 24, and 9. Loving it. And who will we end up playing in the first round here? It is going to be the LA Kings. So we will be playing Los Angeles in the first round. Arizona will play San Jose. Colorado will play Chicago. St. Louis will play Winnipeg. In the Atlantic, though, 58, 15, and 9. Toronto is insane. Just absolutely insane. We finished as the 4th best team in the league. We won the conference. You look at the top 3 in the East, that is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But 107 points, 2 points above Colorado in the Central to win the division title. Goals for per game at a 2.7, which is mid-table, a little bit closer towards the high end. Goals against per game, we were bottom 4 in the league, so our defense and goaltending was quite solid. Power play at 18.8%, mid-table, maybe slightly towards the bottom. And our penalty kill, oh boy, where is our penalty kill? Mid-table somewhere. Just not sure if it's closer to the higher end. It is, at an 82.3%. We only scored 1 shorthanded goal all season. Better than Boston or LA, who didn't score a single shorthanded goal all year long. Point total-wise, let's take a look at your Golden Knights and then around the league. So forward-wise, William Karlsson the way, 67 points in 82 games. That's okay. It's not great. He's certainly capable of more. That's actually his highest point total for us in the past 3 years. 24 goals is also the highest, but I still say he should be able to hit that 70-point mark. Same with Artemi Panarin, 62 points. I imagine it's down, and it is, from the 70 points he had last season. And then Jonathan Marchessault. Of course, last year, dealt with a lot of injuries, was on a really good point pace, though. And then this year, was on a pretty good point pace as well, and then it really slowed down. That's a disappointing season for him. The top line, I mean, Karlsson and Panarin did okay. They're capable of more. Marchessault is very much capable of more. On the other hand, Riley Smith, for a second-line talent, tremendous season with 54 points. Cody Glass, 41 in his rookie season. not bad, bouncing back and forth between the second and third line. Missed some time as well. That's a strong year. And then Evgeny Dadonov, 33 points in 55 games, would have broken 40, maybe even been closer to 50. I'm good with that point total. Eric Haula hit 30, which for a bottom six role is okay, but given who he's played with, it's a bit disappointing. Alex Tuch, that's very disappointing. You should have been capable of more. Ryan Carpenter, who is exclusively on the fourth line, hit 28 points, which is tremendous. Cody Eakin at 26 for a bottom six player, that's okay. Carrier at 20 points, tremendous. And then Dwyer had 9 points in 22 games. I'm okay with that. Peary had 3 points in 20 games as one of our depth options. Defensively, Yossi, 44 points this season, a +3, not bad. Hamilton, of course, we got it just before the deadline, 37 points this year. 23 for Colin Miller, 21 for Shea Theodore, 11 for McNabb, 7 points for Jet Wu, and Jake Dotchin ended up with 23 games played. He was a +9 in those 23 appearances. And then goaltending-wise, Marc-Andre Fleury, 37 wins in 65 appearances, 8 shutouts, a .926 save percentage. And then Malcolm Subban returned to form a little bit as well. Solid numbers for a backup. The win-loss record maybe not perfect, but still pretty damn good. And around the league, it was Nathan MacKinnon and Sidney Crosby, 89 points each, leading the way. So scoring was down a little bit. So, we'll give a little bit of forgiveness towards some of our other main players. Goal-scoring king was Ovechkin, the only to break 50. Colin White, by the way. Damn. 39 goals for Colin White and a very nice point total. There you go. Who's the penalty minute king? Just for the hell of it. Kyle Clifford. We'll take a look here. Points among defensemen. It was Drew Doughty leading the way. Quite a few broke 60. And then rookie skating-wise, had Cody Glass not missed time, he may have won the Calder. And maybe the game will factor that in. Cody Glass has an outside chance of winning the Calder over Kyler Yamamoto, which would be tremendous. I mean, me personally, he had more goals. He missed time. I'd give it to Cody Glass. But odds are it goes to Yamamoto, just for him having the higher point total. Michael Dow Cole also made the NHL finally. So there you go. You only have to wait until 2020-2021 for Michael Dow Cole to make the NHL. So with that, let's get our confirmation that we are indeed playing LA in the first round. We already know that to be true, but let's see it. There you go. We're back in the playoffs. 3 years, 3 postseason appearances, 4 if you want to include, of course, Vegas's inaugural season. But we have not been able to make it past the first round. Will we be able to snap that streak? We will find out in the next episode. Hopefully, we can. Lineup-wise, let me know what you think as far as the combinations. Where should Dwyer play? Let me know. Of course, like I said, we're kind of limited right now with our center options. But for the most part, we are pretty much good to go. Again, it's Arizona, San Jose, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Colorado, Chicago, in the East, Toronto, Buffalo, Florida, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. That'll be fun. The Rangers and Caps. And as we leave this episode, I will say as always, you know the deal. Support the video, support the channel, check the description, all that happy fun stuff. I thank you for it. But let's take a look at this Leafs roster, which features everybody you would expect. That's pretty much the answer. It features everyone you would expect. With the additions of guys like Ty Ratty, Michael Frolik, Johnny Brodzinski, Carl Grundstrom also played a little bit for them. Defensively, Alec Martinez, Adam Larson, Russell, Schlemko, and Freddie Anderson. So, I mean, should they have won nearly 60 games? Who's to say? But they did. That said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.